This is from the NRA. New Mexico governor's unconstitutional carry ban temporarily halted. NRA files suit. Quote, on September 8th, New Mexico Governor Michelle Grisham, not sure how to pronounce that, Democrat, obviously, surprised her political opponents and allies when the politician purported to suspend the U.S. and New Mexico constitutions and state statute using a public health emergency order. The governor's directive attempted to unilaterally prohibit law-abiding gun owners from exercising their right to bear arms for 30 days in Albuquerque and the surrounding Bernalillo County, coming on the heels of the 2022 U.S. Supreme Court decision in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Brune. Some of those tasked with enforcing the governor's edicts immediately recognized the improper measure as illegitimate and refused to enforce or defend it. Now, I forgot all about that New York lawsuit until I read this article. It's a very, very good point. I don't see there's a very good reason why the AG of New Mexico decided not to side with the governor here. The Constitution says clear as day, shall not be infringed, although the Supreme Court has had no issue with infringing on different aspects of the Second Amendment. But when it comes down to something like outright banning guns in a emergency order, regardless of what the time on that emergency order is, just a few short days, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you consider an emergency, because it wasn't really an emergency to begin with, as far as I'm concerned, or as if I remember correctly. New Mexico had something like 15 murders total with guns within the last year. So if I have that correct, I believe I do. If 15 murders somehow legitimizes a emergency order to get rid of all guns, then for the love of Christ, Chicago ought to have the National Guard storming that place like the beaches of Normandy. So it's obviously at this, it's just nonsense. It says shall not be infringed, people. It shall not be infringed. But at the end of the day, our Supreme Court and previous Supreme Courts have had no issue banning things, or at least not speaking on the banning of things, such as bump stocks, or they've had no problem holding up statutes like the NFA, which in my view is unconstitutional. But I was very glad to see the Supreme Court strike down that previous New York lawsuit regarding rifles and pistols last year. And as far as I can tell, with the amount of conservative justices that are on the court as of right now, it's very likely to be the exact same outcome when this is all said and done, if it does have to go to the Supreme Court. But considering that even the AG of New Mexico is not going to back up the governor here, I doubt that it ever goes that far. She's already backtracking. I saw another article earlier stating that she was going to redirect the emergency order to where you could no longer carry in, I believe, public parks and maybe one other place. I don't remember what the other one was, but it was public parks and somewhere else. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. She's just backtracking now because she feels like she's been backed into a corner and she's trying to somewhat legitimize her position. She's incorrect. And I hope that this is entirely struck down as soon as possible.